Welcome to the Seymone and Tasha show. Welcome, world. We're happy that you are here with us. I'm Seymone.
I'm Tasha.
And tonight, Tasha, what's been on my mind is, destiny. And I've heard a lot about creating your own legacy and that we are creators. And so, what I want to talk about is, are we creators? Are we really creators, or is our destiny already set, and we have to follow what's been set and follow a certain program? Are people just destined to stay in the situation they were born in, or can they really change it? We know that one or two people have been able, a few people have been able to come up out of negative situations and just change their lives totally, transform. But for the masses, is this possible? Or do you have to be like a superstar actor, actress, a superstar athlete to come out of a, situation of, some people come out of adoption, single family homes. Some people come out of bad situations with abuse or having to grow up in foster care and so on, and they succeed and they thrive. Is that something that the majority of people can learn how to do, or is this something that's predestined for you to stay in a situation like that? What do you think, Tasha?
No, I absolutely believe that you can come out of any situation that you're in. I do feel like you have to want it, whatever the situation may be. That you have to start there. Some people are comfortable in their situation, or how they grew up, or the different situations. So you have to want out. You have to want better, and you know start there. That's important.
As far as changing, like, say if you grew up in a negative situation, whatever that might be, as far as changing that, turning that around where you could have a positive life, not a life where you're destined for drugs, alcohol, and jail. As far as turning a situation like that around, is that possible for the majority of people? And is it possible when we see the jail is filled, is like to capacity with people, is it possible to change from negative to positive? Or is that only for a select few?
No, I do think it's possible because we all have a choice. Most people don't choose to go to jail. They made a decision that landed them in that place. I do believe that many people may not, think before they do something, or they want like the quickest way to get to something. And sometimes the quickest way is not always the best way.
Yeah.
And it tends to land people in different scenarios, as like you mentioned, jail, prison, in a negative space, abusive relationship, you know.
Yeah, because when I grew up in the streets, I grew up in the streets of Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
That's I was born in Guyana. Then we came to America when I was probably like 8 years old. So I grew up, I feel, in the streets of Brooklyn where you had gangs. In every neighborhood there were gangs, and there was a separation between races and fights and violence and so on. And so many people got stuck in those situations. So many people from the block, you go back to the block right now, you see the same people still thinking they're thugs, on drugs, just stuck in those situations. And I wonder what it is that keeps them there, but where other people are able to come out of those situations.
Well,
And I know that you grew up in Philly too, so you could speak to it too.
Yeah, well, and that's why I said I think it's a choice. Like you said, my background wasn't the greatest. I grew up, poor. And so I know what it's like to kind of have a not so good environment and want better for myself. I always said it in my heart, like I knew it was something out there better for me. I knew that I didn't want the same type of life that I was living in. And I knew that as a young child. I'm not really sure what that was,
Yeah.
but I just knew. And so, with that being said, I always told myself, like, I knew it was something better. I wanted better for myself. And so, I feel like it goes back to your decisions. I mean, don't get me wrong, nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
And so, you do have to make the decision, like, I want better. Like, this is my current situation. I don't have to stay in that situation. And with that being said, sometimes, people just make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
They say you're one decision away from, your destiny, or
Hmm.
that one decision can turn your life around for the negative. And like you said, you'll wind up in jail.
Yeah, and it's interesting that, just growing up in Brooklyn, I see people like, especially like who got on drugs and they were on a path where they were doing good. But once they discovered drugs or something like that, it just took them all the way out. You know, Lots of people end up dying, people end up going to jail because of drugs, because of alcohol. And I'm wondering if there's something that's innate within us. Is there something that we're born with, like a survival skill that keeps some of us away from bad influences, that helps some of us to make good decisions, while other people are just right away, they get so caught up in the negative of a situation?
Good question.
Yeah.
I think that again, it comes down to our decisions. I mean, I know that many people are in different type of environments. I was that person.
Mm.
And like I said, I mean, I made a decision. Like I saw the drugs and the traffic and all the things, the liquor, the alcohol, all those things, but I just wanted to be a kid,
Yeah.
go outside and play. And I just always wanted better. Like I saw like houses around me and what my house looked like. I just always wanted better. And so you do have to surround yourself with different environments. And like for me, for an example, like I knew my environment and what it looked like. And I had friends up the block that was like a church family, but they had a much nicer house. I would go over there for dinner, hang
Hmm.
out with them, play with them. And so I found myself in those type of environments. I like to go to church. A church was right across the street from my house.
Hmm.
I took myself to church. So I think it just comes something within. Like you gotta want better and surround yourself. Even as a kid, like I said, I just went to the neighbor's house
Yeah.
because their house was just better in my eyes.
Yeah.
So it goes back to your environment. If you can get around a better environment, that helps.
Yeah, and I think another thing with the environment, like even when they do twin studies and they show that twins separated at birth could be raised in totally different environments, but then at the end of the day, when you look at the twins as adults, it's like they still have the same likes, the same dislikes, the same behaviors. So I wonder how much is it your DNA, which would, is it like nature? That was always like an age old question: nature over nurture, or what you were born with, or the family you were born into versus, and their DNA versus the environment you were raised in.
Yeah, it's all of that. You can definitely take that into consideration. But what if you're an individual like myself that the environment wasn't that great?
Mm-hmm.
The parents was into the scene as far as like drug scene, alcohol, and so that was like the role model, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
if you will. So it's like, what do you do,
Right.
and so maybe it is something like that's deep down inside to know that I want greater. I know it's something better out there. Like this is not the end all be all. And for me, like I said, maybe it was because I seen the neighbors' houses and the other kids,
Yeah.
and their situation from the outside looked a little different than mine, and it was better to me. And so maybe that was something that was, to help me along in my journey.
And that's encouraging probably for somebody who they see themselves right now growing up in a bad environment and they feel like there's no way out. It's like, we want y'all to know that there is a way out,
Absolutely.
that you can see. It's so much like, when I was coming up before, like I was a social worker in the streets of Atlanta, and I worked with pregnant women who were addicted to drugs. I used to have to go into crack houses and get pregnant women out of the crack houses, right? And when I saw that, it really touched me and gave me a heart for women and children even more. And my goal from that point, I said, I wanted to be able to show women something better so they could know that there's something better. You probably know like people living in the projects, and then when they come of age, their goal is just to get a project apartment. It's like that was the goal, because back in the day before the internet, people couldn't see anything better.
Right.
But now that people could see that, hey, there's something better, do you think that's helped more people to come out of bad situations, or just more high tech bad situations are created?
I think it does. It has helped. I really do. But again, that person has to want it. You do have some people that's very complacent in whatever their situation is in that moment, whatever that looks like. It could be, the projects, it could be domestic violence, all those things, but they have to want something different.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to they have to see something different. Some of these individuals haven't seen anything different. Like that's all they know, the projects, the system, like it went from one generation to the next, which means that goes back to a generational curse. Like we got to stop the cycle somewhere.
Right. And that's one of the reasons that we have this podcast. Because we wanted to bring hope to people. We wanted to shed light on situations that so that people could know you can come out of a situation.
Yes.
Just because you were born in the projects, you don't have to stay in the projects. Just because your parents were on drugs, you don't have to follow that path. You know what I'm saying? Just because you were born poor or whatever, you don't have to stay in that situation.
Absolutely.
You can come out of that situation. And that's what we teach. We teach that the things that you focus on expand.
Yes.
What you think about, you bring about.
Absolutely.
That's what we teach,
Yeah.
And so many people get results from that because we go even on a deeper level in teaching them through meditation, through mindfulness. You can manifest the life that you want to live.
Absolutely.
Not the life that you felt trapped in, for many years. You can come out of that.
Yeah. And it starts with mindset, you guys. I mean, you have to want these things.
Yeah.
If you want a better life, if you want to live in a different type of house, if you want a different type of car, if you want a better job, like you have to want these things. Put them on paper, like we said. Write the vision and make it plain.
Write the vision, make it plain. And in the mindfulness community, that's called scripting. You write out what you want and you focus on that and it comes about. But it can't be like a fleeting thing. You have to really know what you want.
Absolutely.
And that's another thing that we help people with. We help people through a process where they're able to uncover and discover what their purpose is and what their true role in this life is. So many people fall into a pattern where, okay, your parents went to school or your parents wanted you to go to school and study something, so you did it.
Right.
You went to college, you studied something, you picked up a career, and then you end up in corporate America. But is that your real calling? Is that your real passion?
Right. Right.
And that's what we try to tell people.
Yeah, I mean, you just gotta want better, you guys. I mean, me myself, first generation college. My mom or dad didn't have like college, educations. So that was a big deal. Like I said, I knew from when I was small that I wanted better. And I said I was going to be the first one in my family to get a college education. And I did that. Yeah. So you just gotta, you just gotta want better and put yourself in that environment. That's the key.
And the main thing is just know that things could change. Just know that wherever you are now, you feel down, you feel out, things could change overnight. Things could change. So keep your head up, reach out to us, put a comment in the comments, make a comment, reach out to us and let us know, like, if you need help changing things, that's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
To encourage that and to guide you on that path of change.
Yep. You got to focus on what you want. Focus.
Yep. Focus. Because what it says, where attention goes, energy flows, right?
Yep.
So that means that where you place your attention, that's where the energy is going to go to bring the things that you want to you. So stay encouraged and keep your head up, like we always say. Any last words, Tasha, for today?
Nope. Just write the vision and make it plain. You got this.
You got this. All right, y'all. Peace out. This is Seymone and Tasha, and we'll talk with you tomorrow.